Okay, I am joined by Dagenham's finest, Jimmy Quinn, and he is enjoying the San Diego sun at the moment. Jimmy, it looks warmer where you are than I am.
Yeah, it's so hot here at the minute. I'm sweating just sitting in a chair.
Of course, you're over in San Diego. You're with MMA Fight Academy over there, and you're going to be
Yeah.
fighting in just over a week's time. Cage Warriors 180 back in sunny and beautiful London. But before we get to that, let's. I mean, for anybody who's watching this, maybe doesn't really know what MMA Fight Academy is. Just give us a quick sort of rundown of the whole situation over there, how long you've been there, and how it's going.
Yeah, so the MMA Fight Academy is essentially a team, a super team that is being built to basically take over the game. Really, it's the best prospects over Europe, and we're all at early stages in our career. And I was lucky enough to be chosen at the trials, which they held back 2 years ago. So I've been with them for 2 years now, and yeah, I've never looked back since.
Yeah, and obviously you guys are over there. So as I mentioned, sunny San Diego. You got some really top level talents over there. There's Leon Arms, Teddy Stringer, my teammate Adam Darby. Adam's gone home now, isn't he,
Yeah,
with an injury?
yeah, he broke his finger in sparring. He's had an unlucky year to be honest, but no doubt he'll be back in there soon, smashing it.
He's another guy who's maybe, had some really bad luck throughout the course of this year. That's two separate hand injuries and whatnot. But those of you that are over there, we're seeing quite a lot of you fight regularly on these Cage Warriors London cards, and the Indigo is a banging venue, obviously, and it's not your first time being in there. So this fight's coming up next week. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be a fiery start. We're both quick starters in this fight, so it's definitely going to be a banger. And I'm excited to display my skill set that I've learned over the year because I haven't showed enough of it yet.
Yeah, I mean, you're relatively young in your professional career. I'm just going to take a quick glance at dates. Yeah, the 1st of July of 2023, I was at your pro debut. I think it was a
Yeah,
9-second knockout win over Dan Neal, wasn't it? So like we've only seen
yeah,
like a kind of a small sample size of your skill set, because more often than not you get the job done kind of quickly enough. So it's like we're sort
yeah,
of being drip fed little bits of what Jimmy Quinn can do. But 3-1 so far. You obviously came up against one loss, but you've picked up a couple of wins since. The big thing about your wins that people might know when they're looking at is that you're just a highlight reel machine here. You're going for things constantly. Like there was that 9-second knockout we talked about, which is a check left hook. The last one in particular I thought was amazing. It was a jump and switch knee, but right before it,
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, you went for a Demetrius Johnson suplex armbar combo that just
yeah,
just didn't come off.
yeah, yeah. I tried that. I've got it a few times in training before back home, and I thought, you know what, now's the perfect opportunity to try it. He probably won't expect it because not many people go for things like that. It's a bit risky, but you've got to take risks in this game and put on a good performance. So I like to do the entertaining things and yeah,
Yeah, it's
pull off
something
the
that
odd shit.
that's it. It adds a bit of excitement to your fights, I suppose. And when you're a young pro trying to make a name for yourself or trying to build a profile for yourself, I mean, if anyone watches your fights, it's not just that you pull off something here and there. I mean, you seem to be just constantly going for just wild stuff. Like there's that
Yeah,
fight I'm talking about right before that suplex attempt. I think there was a couple of attempts at that switch knee, and eventually you got it. So you do like to
yeah,
seem to entertain people when you step into the cage.
yeah, and not only that, I've practiced it a lot of times, so I know I can pull it off. So it's just the right moment and the perfect timing, to be honest. And that moment was perfect to go for it, setting it up and getting the experience in real cage time doing it. But yeah, I'm very familiar with these sort of moves.
One thing that's very noticeable about watching you fight is, there's a clear, I mean, bantamweights in general, when they're at a decent level, that everybody looks quick. But anytime you step into the cage, there is quite a clear speed advantage in your favor against most people. And you look very sharp, very athletic. you come from a very kind of a unique background when it comes to MMA fighters. So, I mean, for anyone who hasn't heard of you before, you were a back and dancer. You can correct me if I'm wrong anywhere here, for the Street Collective Diversity, weren't you? How did you get from that point to the point you're at now?
So I was just on tour, and I just felt like I wanted to start a career of my own, and I didn't know what to look into. I sort of was going through phases where I was looking at different things. I started calisthenics for a while and started training that, and I actually joined a team, done a few competitions in calisthenics and built up my strength. And I thought, you know what, I'm getting good at this, and I thought, you know what, let me try fighting, because ultimately that's the biggest test in yourself. And I come across a video while I was on tour with McGregor, and it really took to me, and I just, you know, I'm going to go for this. And yeah, drop the dancing and drop everything, and I'm just going to put my 100% all into this. And yes, it's starting to pay off.
What was the time frame like between you kind of making that decision to maybe try MMA to getting to the point where you maybe had your first amateur fight? Did it take you? I mean, I'm going to assume you're kind of picked things up kind of quickly just due to having, you know, that sort of outlying athletic ability.
Yeah, so I started in 2018. I first went down to a boxing gym just to see if I can throw a few hands. My granddad was a professional boxer back in his day, so I thought, you know, I'm going to go down the route of boxing, see how that goes. And then I done 3 months of boxing, and I thought, yeah, I like. Thought I'd get my hands up a little bit so I could throw some hands when I go into the MMA gym, and then it moved me into another world. And I was like, oh shit, maybe I need to try this a bit more. And then I was just indulging everything by that point. And this was about 2018, and I had my first amateur fight in 2019. So a year later, I had my first amateur fight, and yeah, just carried on since.
Yeah, it seems to be in sort of a relatively quick transition. I mean, a lot of fighters tend to maybe have to spend a lot more time accruing the skills, but like we mentioned, when you kind of had that athletic background, a lot of that kind of stuff can carry over quickly. I was talking about your striking and how you're you're quick and you're dynamic, and obviously you know how to use. I suppose you've honed how and when to use those physical traits, you know, and like you mentioned, drilling and doing things over and over in the gym. It's kind of working really well for you. A couple of fights ago, the Johan Salvador fight I thought was very interesting, because I've seen Johan fight a couple of times when I was working with Cage Warriors, and you know I was pretty impressed with him. And we got to see, you know, you're not just like, you know, a flashy kind of kickboxer kind of guy. I mean, he took you down and he paid the price by finding himself strapped up into a guillotine. So, you know, how do you feel your overall skill set kind of is progressing at the moment? And, you know, where do you see yourself kind of going forward in this Cage Warriors bantamweight picture?
Yeah, so being out here, my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu with Jake Baraka and Mark Fuhr over the last 2 years has improved massively. So I think it will be a shock to people, because a lot of guys on the scene think I'm just a striker and maybe downplay my grappling, but that all plays in my favor because I'm training with the best. You know, I've got D1 wrestlers here, I've got high level jiu-jitsu coaches, and yeah, I'm learning every single day. So I'm getting solid rounds in, and I know what I'm capable of on the ground. And yeah, it's going to be a shock to a lot of people, but I just want to keep climbing on the Cage Warriors ladder, and yeah, keep picking up wins, getting finishes, and eventually get to the UFC. Obviously, the title is definitely in my eyesight for the future, and I'm looking forward to just collecting wins, getting the experience, and just building.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting way the UFC's recruitment process is running at the moment. What we are seeing is we're seeing people with kind of fewer professional fights being picked up for things like the Contender Series, and they're clearly putting a big emphasis on people who are young and promising, and most importantly, are finishing fights. I mean, didn't we see Lonir Kavanagh? He was looking like he was primed to be the next guy to fight for the Cage Warriors flyweight title, but then he kind of just didn't have to. He got that opportunity to fight on the Contender Series, and he grabbed it with both hands. I mean, it's probably an easy enough question to answer this, but would you see yourself jumping on an opportunity like that if it popped up right now?
If it popped up right now, I know I'm not delusional. I'm still young in my career. There's a lot of experience I want to get under the bag, but I wouldn't shy away from an opportunity to fight in the UFC. I've put my all into this, and you go out there and you fight, and you have to be 100% confident in your skill set, and I am. So if the opportunity did arise before I expected, I'm going to take it with 2 hands, because you never know. You could only get one opportunity, and yeah, definitely, I feel like I can do it.
This opponent you have in front of you next week, Giovanni Fernandez, what do you know about him?
So I haven't seen too much of his fights. I've seen one of his fights, and he comes out, he's fiery. He's got 2 first-round finishes, 2 losses. So it's mix and match. It's 50-50. I don't know what too much to expect of him, but I'm very confident in my skill set, and I'm going to adapt in there. I'm not going to rush. I'm going to keep it simple, and yeah, he's going to find out very early on that he's with the wrong guy in the cage there.
Yeah, look, 2 very exciting finishers stepping in to meet in the middle. It's going to be a super exciting fight. That's all I'll keep you. That's as long as I'll keep you now today, Jimmy. I want to wish you the very best of luck next week. Thanks for making time for me today. And thanks for everybody who watched the interview for tuning in. All right, best of luck, bud.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.